The red lights flashed across the control room at Luna Base. Admiral Taemin stood frozen as he watched the main screen. For the first time in over 800 years, the galaxy had gone completely quiet. The Galactic Communications Hub usually buzzed with millions of messages every second. Trade requests from the Zephyrian merchants, scientific data from the crystal beings of Andros 7, even the angry complaints from the territorial Grex Empire. But now, nothing. Just empty static, where the voices of 1,000 alien races should be. "Sir, all communication channels are dead," reported Lieutenant Boram Lee. Her fingers flew across the control panel, checking every frequency they knew. Every single alien transmission just stopped at exactly 1432 Standard Time. Taemin felt cold sweat on his forehead. In all his years commanding the Terran Defense Fleet, he had never seen anything like this. "What about our deep space sensors? Any unusual activity?" "That's the strange part, Admiral." Boram pulled up a star map on the main screen. "Our long-range sensors picked up a massive energy signature about 30 minutes before the silence began. It appeared at the edge of known space near the Void Sector." The Void Sector. Taemin knew that region well. It was empty space beyond the furthest human colonies. Nothing lived out there except cosmic dust and dead stars. At least, that's what everyone believed. "Show me the sensor data," he ordered. The screen changed to display energy readings that made no sense. The object, whatever it was, gave off power signatures larger than an entire star system. But the most shocking part was its shape. The computer's analysis showed the outline of something that looked like a ship. A very, very large ship. "Computer, identify vessel type," Taemin said. "Unable to identify. Ship design matches no known alien or human configurations. However, preliminary analysis suggests human origin technology." Human technology? That was impossible. Humans had been exploring space for only 400 years. They had built many ships, but nothing even close to this size. The largest human dreadnought was like a tiny bug compared to this thing. "Get me Captain So-Ra Kim," Taemin ordered. "Tell her to prepare the Hangang for immediate departure." Captain So-Ra Kim was the best scout ship commander in the fleet. If anyone could figure out what was happening, it was her. The Hangang was a small, fast ship designed for first contact situations. It had the best sensors and the smartest crew. 20 minutes later, So-Ra stood in the briefing room with her team. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Next to her stood Dr. Woo Jin Park, the fleet's expert on alien cultures and languages. He had spent his life studying the thousands of different species in the galaxy. "The situation is simple," Taemin began. "Something has appeared that made every alien in the galaxy go silent at the same time. We need to know what it is." So-Ra studied the sensor data on her tablet. "This energy signature is unlike anything I've seen. The size estimates show a ship that's at least 50 kilometers long." 50 kilometers? Dr. Woo Jin looked shocked. "That's larger than most space stations. What kind of civilization could build something like that?" "That's what you're going to find out," Taemin said. "Take the Hangang and investigate. But be careful. If this thing made every alien species go quiet, it might be dangerous." 2 hours later, the Hangang left Luna Base and jumped into hyperspace. The small ship carried a crew of 12, including So-Ra's best people. Lieutenant Boram Lee came along as the communications expert. She had studied more alien languages than anyone else in the fleet. The journey to the Void Sector took 3 days. During that time, the galaxy remained silent. Not a single alien transmission came through the communication networks. Trade stopped. Scientific exchanges ended. Even the war between the Calarian Empire and the Mongoose Republics went quiet. "It's like every alien species decided to hold their breath at the same time," Boram said as she monitored the empty communication channels. Dr. Woo Jin spent his time studying historical records. "I've been looking through our databases for anything similar to this. The only reference I can find is in some old precursor ruins. There are symbols that might refer to the return of the Forgotten Ones. The precursors were the galaxy's greatest mystery. They had ruled space millions of years ago, building massive structures and advanced technology. Then they disappeared, leaving behind only ruins and legends. Most species believed they were just myths. On the third day, the hangang dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the void sector. What they saw made everyone on the bridge stare in amazement. The ship was enormous. It hung in space like a metal mountain, dark against the stars. Its hull was covered with strange markings and symbols. Some looked like ancient human writing, but others were completely unknown. "My God," Sora whispered. "It's beautiful." The ship's design was clearly human, but different from any human vessel ever built. It had the angular lines and practical construction that marked human engineering, but it was also elegant in a way that human ships usually weren't, like someone had taken human technology and spent centuries perfecting it. "Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from the ship," Boram reported. "They're broadcasting on very old frequencies, the kind humans used about 400 years ago. Can you understand what they're saying?" Boram listened to her headphones, frowning in concentration. "It's Korean, but an old form of the language. Mixed with other Earth languages, too. They're saying something about coming home after the long dark." Dr. Wu Jin leaned forward. "Korean? But why would they be speaking Korean?" Before anyone could answer, the massive ship began to move. It turned slowly toward the hangang like a giant waking up from a long sleep. Lights appeared along its hull, forming patterns that looked almost like writing. "Captain, they're scanning us," reported the sensor operator. "Very advanced scans. They're learning everything about our ship and crew." Sora made a decision. "Open a communication channel. Let's see if they want to talk." Boram worked her controls. "Channel open, Captain." "Unknown vessel. This is Captain Sora Kim of the Terran Defense Fleet ship Hangang. Please identify yourself." The reply came immediately, but it wasn't what they expected. The voice spoke in that old form of Korean, but there were words from other Earth languages mixed in. Chinese, English, Russian, Arabic. Like someone who had learned all of Earth's languages and mixed them together over many years. "Hangang," the voice said. "River of home. We remember the rivers of Earth. This is Commander Hyun-Woo Nam of the ship Baekdu. We have been waiting so long to see our people again." Dr. Wu Jin's face went pale. "Baekdu. That name is in our historical records. It was a colony ship that disappeared 400 years ago. One of the first ships sent to explore deep space." "That's impossible," Sora said. "No ship could survive that long in deep space. And even if it could, how did it become so large?" The voice from the Baekdu continued. "We know you have questions. We have been gone for so long and much has changed. But now the time has come. The Silent Ones know we have returned. That is why they wait in fear and hope." "The Silent Ones?" Boram asked. "The children of the galaxy. The young races who have forgotten the old warnings. They remember in their deepest genetic memories, even if their minds do not understand." Sora felt a chill run down her spine. "Commander Nam, what warnings? What are you talking about?" There was a long pause before the reply came. When it did, the voice sounded sad and tired. "The warnings about what comes from beyond the rim. The devourers who ate the light of our parent galaxy. We have watched and waited at the edge of darkness for 400 years. Now they come again and the young races feel it in their bones." Dr. Wu Jin grabbed Sora's arm. "Captain, the precursor ruins I studied. Some of the symbols talked about watchers at the edge of space. Guardians who would return when the great darkness came back." On the main screen, the massive ship began to glow with soft light. The patterns on its hull became clearer, revealing symbols that were definitely human but changed by centuries of isolation. Among them were other markings that looked ancient beyond measure. "Commander Nam," Sora said, "we need to understand. What happened to your ship? How did you survive so long? And what is this darkness you're talking about? Come aboard, daughter of Earth. Bring your learned ones and your speakers of words. We will show you what we have learned in the long exile. We will share the burden of knowledge that has been ours alone for so many years." A docking bay opened in the side of the massive ship. It was clearly designed for human vessels, but the technology that controlled it was far beyond anything the Hangang carried. Sora looked at her crew. They all showed the same mixture of fear and excitement that she felt. This was the kind of discovery that happened once in 1,000 years. But it was also clearly dangerous. Dr. Park, Lieutenant Lee, you're with me, she decided. The rest of you stay here and be ready to leave quickly if something goes wrong. As their shuttle approached the Bekdu's docking bay, Boram monitored the communication channels one more time. Captain, something's happening. I'm getting transmissions from all over the galaxy. The aliens are talking again? The shuttle touched down in the docking bay with a soft thud. Captain Sora Kim looked through the window at the strange world inside the massive ship. The bay was huge, large enough to hold dozens of shuttles. But what caught her attention were the people waiting for them. They looked human but different. Their clothes were practical but elegant, made from materials that seemed to shift color in the light. The people themselves were tall and moved with a grace that seemed almost too perfect. When they walked, it was like they were floating just above the ground. Are you sure they're human? Dr. Woojin Park whispered. They have to be, Sora replied. But 400 years in space might change people in ways we don't understand. The airlock opened, and Sora stepped out with her team. The air inside the ship was clean and fresh with a slight smell of flowers that she couldn't identify. The gravity felt normal, which was surprising for such a large vessel. A man approached them. He was tall with dark hair that had silver streaks, even though his face looked young. His eyes were the most striking feature. They were dark brown but seemed to hold depths that spoke of great age and wisdom. Welcome aboard the Bekdu, he said in that strange mixture of languages. I am Commander Hyun-woo Nam. We have waited so long for this day. Sora bowed slightly, following Earth customs. Commander Nam, I am Captain Sora Kim. This is Dr. Woojin Park and Lieutenant Boram Lee. We're honored to meet you, but we have many questions. Hyun-woo smiled sadly. Questions. Yes, we expected that. Come, let us show you our home. Perhaps seeing will help you understand better than words alone. They walked through corridors that were clearly designed by humans, but humans with access to technology far beyond what Earth possessed. The walls showed scenes of space and stars that moved like real windows. Plants grew in gardens that seemed to float in the air without soil or water. This is amazing, Boram said, staring at everything. How did you build all this? We did not build it alone, Hyun-woo replied. We had teachers. Very old teachers who left their knowledge for us to find. They passed other crew members in the corridors. All of them looked human, but with that same strange perfection. Children played games that involved moving objects with their minds. Adults worked with machines by simply touching them, as if they could speak to the technology directly. Commander, Dr. Woojin said carefully, our records show that the Bekdu was a colony ship with about 50,000 people. How many are on this ship now? About the same number, Hyun-woo replied. Some have died, some have been born, but we have stayed close to our original population. That was impossible, Sora thought. Even with the best medical technology, a closed population couldn't survive for 400 years without genetic problems. But these people looked healthier than most humans she knew. They entered a large room that looked like a combination of a library and a laboratory. The walls were covered with screens showing star maps, technical diagrams, and writings in dozens of different languages. Some of the languages Sora recognized as human. Others looked alien, but some were completely unknown. 3 people worked in the room. A woman with short black hair looked up from a complex machine. She smiled and approached them. I am Engineer Da-Yun Choi, she said. I help keep our ship running and our people safe. Next to her was a man who looked like a soldier. His movements were precise and controlled, like a fighter pilot. Tactical Officer Min Ho-yoon, he said with a slight bow. The third person was a woman about the same age as the others. She wore a white coat like a doctor or scientist. Dr. A-ri Song, she said. I study how people and living things change over time. Sora noticed that all of them spoke in that same mix of Earth languages, but she was starting to understand it better. It was like they had taken the best parts of each language and combined them into something new. Please sit, Hyunwoo said, gesturing to chairs that seemed to form themselves from the floor. We will tell you our story. But first you must understand that what we say will sound impossible. They sat in a circle. The room dimmed and the walls began to show images like a three-dimensional movie. 400 years ago, the Baekdu left Earth, Hyunwoo began. We were explorers looking for new worlds where humans could live. Our ship was advanced for its time, but nothing like what you see now. The images showed the original Baekdu. It was a simple colony ship, large but plain. It carried 50,000 people in cryo-sleep with a crew of a few hundred to run the ship. We traveled for months toward a star system that looked promising, but something went wrong with our navigation. We found ourselves lost in space, far from any known stars. The images showed the ship drifting in empty space, its crew trying to figure out where they were. Then we found it, Hyunwoo continued. Or perhaps it found us. The wall displayed something that made Sora gasp. It was a structure in space, but not like any space station or ship she had ever seen. It was geometric and crystalline, like a jewel the size of a moon. It pulsed with soft light that seemed to come from within. What is that? Dr. Woo Jin asked. A precursor station, Dr. Ari said. One of the last ones in the galaxy. It had been waiting there for millions of years. The images showed the Baekdu being drawn into the station by some kind of gentle force. The humans explored carefully, finding corridors and rooms designed for beings much like themselves. The precursors, Da-eun explained, were not so different from humans. They walked on two legs, used tools, built machines. But they were much older and much wiser. Were? Boram asked. They are gone now, Minho said. They left long ago, but they left their knowledge behind. They left it for their children. Children? Sora felt her heart beating faster. Dr. Ari stood and touched one of the wall screens. It showed a complex diagram that looked like a DNA strand, but far more complicated than any earthly genetic code. The precursors did not just disappear, she said. They planted seeds throughout the galaxy, genetic templates that would grow into new forms of intelligent life. Humans are one of those templates. The room fell silent. Sora felt like the floor was moving beneath her. You're saying humans are descended from these precursors? Not descended, Hyunwoo corrected. Created, designed. The precursors knew that something terrible was coming from beyond the galaxy. They created different races to face that threat when it arrived. What kind of threat? Dr. Woo Jin asked. The images on the walls changed, showing something that made everyone in the room shiver. It looked like a living ship, but wrong in every way. It was organic and mechanical at the same time, with parts that seemed to move and change like muscle and bone. The Devourers, Minho said. They come from another galaxy, one they consumed completely. They eat entire worlds, absorbing all the knowledge and life they find. Then they move on to the next galaxy. They destroyed the precursors' home galaxy millions of years ago, Da-eun added. The precursors escaped to this galaxy and tried to prepare defenses, but they knew they could not stop the Devourers alone. So they created us, Dr. Ari said. Humans and other races, each with different abilities, each designed to fight the Devourers in different ways. Sora struggled to understand. But we're just humans. We're not especially strong or smart compared to many alien races. How could we fight something that destroyed the precursors? Hyunwoo smiled. That is what we learned during our 400 years in the precursor station. Humans have abilities that we never knew about. Abilities that only work when facing the greatest threats. What kind of abilities? Boram asked. Watch, Dr. Ari said. She picked up a complex device from the table. It looked like alien technology, covered with symbols and lights. She handed it to Sora. Try to understand what this does. Sora took the device, expecting to see meaningless alien writing. But as soon as she touched it, something strange happened. The symbols began to make sense. She could see how the device worked, what it was designed to do, even how to repair it if it broke. I can read this, she whispered. I don't understand how, but I can read this. The genetic locks are opening, Dr. Ari explained. Being near precursor technology activates dormant parts of human DNA. You are becoming what you were designed to be. Dr. Woojin took the device next. His eyes went wide as the same thing happened to him. This is incredible. It's like the knowledge is just appearing in my mind. All humans have this ability, Hyunwoo said, but it only activates when the galaxy faces the greatest danger. The precursors programmed us to awaken only when the devourers returned. And they're returning now? Sora asked. Minho nodded grimly. Our sensors detected them 3 months ago. They are still far away, but they are coming. The other races in the galaxy can feel it even if they don't understand what they're feeling. That's why they went silent. Deep in their genetic memory, they know the devourers are approaching. How long do we have? Boram asked. Perhaps a year, Daun said. Maybe less? The devourers move slowly, but they are very thorough. They consume everything in their path. Sora stood up, her mind spinning with all this new information. We have to warn Earth. We have to prepare the human colonies. The journey back to Luna Base took only 2 days, but everything had changed. Captain Sora Kim stood on the bridge of the Hangang, watching reports flood in from across human space. The awakening was spreading faster than anyone could have imagined. Captain, we're getting another report from New Tokyo, Lieutenant Boram Lee said from her station. A maintenance worker named Jin-Soo Park suddenly understood how to repair a broken quantum drive. He says the knowledge just appeared in his mind. Doctor, Woojin Park looked up from his data pad. That's the 100th report in the last 6 hours. Engineers, pilots, doctors, even children. They're all developing abilities they never had before. Sora nodded. She could feel the changes in herself too. When she looked at the ship's controls, she understood systems that had once seemed mysterious. It was like someone had unlocked a door in her mind that she never knew existed. What's the situation with the alien races? She asked. Boram checked her communications board. Still mostly quiet, but some are starting to talk again. The Zephyrian sent a message asking if humans are the ones from the old songs. The Crystal, beings of Andros 7, want to meet with human leaders immediately. The Hangang dropped out of hyperspace near Luna Base. But the space around Earth's moon looked different than when they had left. Dozens of ships were arriving from all over human space. Military vessels, cargo ships, even civilian transports. All of them were coming to Earth. Admiral Taemin wants to see you immediately, the communications officer reported as they docked. Sora and her team hurried through the corridors of Luna Base. The station was buzzing with activity. Officers and civilians moved with urgent purpose. Many of them had the same look that Sora recognized in herself, the slightly amazed expression of someone discovering new abilities. Admiral Taemin was waiting in the main briefing room with a dozen other high-ranking officers. When Sora entered, she saw that his hair had turned completely white in the 3 days she had been gone. Captain Kim, he said without any greeting. Tell me everything. Sora gave her report, explaining about the Baekdu, Commander Hyunwoo Nam, and the revelation about humanity's true origins. As she spoke, she watched the faces of the officers around the table. Some looked shocked, others seemed relieved, as if pieces of a puzzle were finally falling into place. So you're saying we're weapons? Asked General Haewon Yu, the head of Earth Defense Command. Created by ancient aliens to fight some kind of galactic threat? Not weapons, Sora corrected. We're guardians. The precursors designed us to protect the galaxy when the devourers returned. And these devourers are coming now? Admiral Taemin asked. According to the Baekdu's sensors, yes. They estimate we have less than a year before the first devourer ships reach the outer rim. The room fell silent. Finally, Dr. Jun Kyo, the head of the Science Council, spoke up. This explains the reports we've been getting. All over human space, people are developing abilities that seem impossible. Yesterday, a pilot named Yejin Bei in the Centauri system somehow flew her ship through an asteroid field with her eyes closed. She said she could feel the rocks around her. A doctor on New Sol suddenly knew how to cure a disease that's puzzled human medicine for decades, added another officer. He says the cure just came to him in a dream. Admiral Taman stood and activated the main display screen. It showed a map of human space with hundreds of red dots scattered across it. "These are all the reports of unusual abilities we've received in the last 3 days," he said. "The number is growing every hour. But more importantly, look at this." The display changed to show energy readings from across the galaxy. 12 large signatures pulsed in different locations, each one similar to the readings from the Bekdu. "The other ship's commander Nam mentioned," Sora said. "They're revealing themselves. We've received messages from 11 of them," Admiral Taman confirmed. "They're all heading toward predetermined meeting points, and they all carry the same message. It's time for humanity to take its place as the galaxy's protectors." General Yu leaned forward. "What about our allies? What do the other races know about this?" Before anyone could answer, the communication system activated. "Admiral, we have an urgent message from the Galactic Council. All member races are requesting an emergency session." "Put it through," Taman ordered. The main screen showed the familiar chamber of the Galactic Council, where representatives of hundreds of races gathered to discuss intergalactic affairs. But instead of the usual chaos of different voices and opinions, all the alien representatives sat in perfect silence. Ambassador Zarketh of the Zephyrians, the current council president, spoke first. "Honored humans," he said in perfect English, "we must speak of the old knowledge and the young fire." Sora felt a chill. The alien was speaking in metaphors that somehow made perfect sense to her awakened mind. "The Watchers have returned," continued another voice, this one from the crystalline representative of Andros 7. "The children of the first makers walk among the stars again." Dr. Wu Jin stepped forward. "They know," he whispered to Sora. "They've always known what we were." Ambassador Zarketh stood, his tall blue form casting shadows in the council chamber. "For 20,000 years my people have guarded the ancient songs that speak of the day when the silent ships would return and the air children would awaken. Our genetic memory holds the same knowledge," added the representative from the Grex Empire, their usual hostile tone replaced with something like reverence. "We have waited, we have watched, we have prepared." Admiral Taman found his "Yes, you knew about the precursors? About what humans really are?" "We are all children of the first makers," Zarketh replied. "But you are their final children, their last hope. We were created to support and guide. You were created to fight and win." The screen showed other alien representatives nodding in agreement. Races that had been enemies for centuries were united in this moment of revelation. "The deep dark comes again," said a voice from the shadows, one of the mysterious shadow walkers who rarely spoke in council. "The Eaters of Light return to finish what they began. Only the final children can stop them." Sora felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. Around her she could see the same realization dawning on the other human officers. "What do we need to do?" Admiral Taman asked. "First, you must gather your scattered strength," Zarketh replied. "The 12 ships must unite. The sleeping children must fully awaken. Then, we will share what we have learned during the long watch." The communication ended, leaving the briefing room in stunned silence. General Yu was the first to speak. "How many humans are there in the galaxy now, with all the colonies and settlements?" "Approximately 12 billion, replied Dr. O. "Spread across 400 worlds, and they're all starting to change?" Sora nodded. "Based on what we learned from the Bekdu, every human carries the precursor genetic template. The approaching threat is triggering the awakening process." Over the next several hours, reports continued to arrive. A farmer on New Busan could suddenly sense the health and needs of every plant in his fields. A student on Europa discovered she could interface directly with computer systems just by touching them. Most remarkably, a group of children in the Alpha Centauri system had started speaking to each other without words, sharing thoughts and emotions across vast distances. "It's like humanity is becoming something new," Dr. O observed. "But also, something we were always meant to be." The awakening was not limited to individuals. Human ships throughout the galaxy began showing improved performance. Engines ran more efficiently, weapons became more accurate, navigation systems found routes that hadn't existed before. The ships are responding to awakened humans, reported Chief Engineer Sang-Ho Kim via communication from the orbital shipyards. It's as if our technology is becoming alive, adapting to work better with awakened crew members. But the most significant development came when the first of the other precursor ships arrived at Earth. The vessel called Jirisan appeared at the edge of the solar system, massive and elegant like the Baekdu, but with different design elements that spoke of centuries spent in different environments. Captain Haewon Yu, no relation to the general, commanded the Jirisan. When she met with the Earth leaders, her first words were simple. The gathering begins. How many humans are on your ship? Admiral Taemin asked. 60,000, she replied. But they are not the humans who left Earth 400 years ago. They are something new, something evolved, as you all will be very soon. The crew of the Jirisan demonstrated abilities that amazed even the awakened humans of Earth. They could communicate across vast distances without technology. They could sense danger before it appeared. Most impressively, they could work together as if they shared a single mind while still maintaining their individual personalities. This is what full awakening looks like, Captain Yu explained. We have had 4 centuries to develop these abilities, but the approaching crisis will force the same changes in all humans within months instead of centuries. Is it safe? Dr. O asked. Can human minds handle such rapid change? The precursors designed us for this, she assured him. We will adapt. We must adapt. The alternative is the death of all intelligence in the galaxy. The Galactic Council chamber had never seen anything like it. For the first time in recorded history, representatives from every known intelligent species sat in complete agreement. Ambassador Jin-A Han, Earth's newest representative, stood at the center of the Great Hall, feeling the weight of 1 billion eyes upon her. Ginny had been a trade negotiator just 3 weeks ago. Then the awakening hit her, and suddenly she could understand not just alien languages, but the deeper meanings behind their words, the cultural contexts, even the emotional undertones. She had become the perfect diplomat almost overnight. Honored representatives, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. We stand at the edge of our greatest challenge. The watchers at the rim tell us we have perhaps 4 months before the first Devourer scouts reach our outer territories. The crystalline representative from Andros 7 pulsed with urgent light patterns. The children of Crystal have prepared for 20,000 years. Our world ships stand ready to support the final children in any way needed. Ambassador Zar Keth of the Zephyrians stood next. The Wind Riders offer our knowledge of space currents and hidden paths. Our ships can guide the human fleet through routes the Devourers do not know. One by one, each species offered their support. The mighty Grex Empire pledged their powerful warships. The mysterious Shadow Walkers promised to share their cloaking technology. Even the usually neutral observers offered their vast databases of galactic knowledge. But what can we actually do against the Devourers? Asked the representative from Kepler Prime. If they consumed an entire galaxy, including the precursors who created us all, how can we hope to succeed where our makers failed? Jin-A smiled, feeling the confidence that came from her connection to awakened humans throughout the galaxy. Because we are not the precursors, we are something new, something they could only dream of creating. She activated the chamber's main display, showing recent footage from human worlds. The images were incredible. Human pilots flew ships through impossible maneuvers guided by intuition rather than instruments. Engineers repaired alien technology they had never seen before. Scientists solved problems by simply understanding the underlying principles of reality. The precursors were ancient and wise, Jin-A continued, but they were also set in their ways. They thought in terms of technology and logic. Humans think with intuition, emotion, and creativity. We adapt faster than any race in galactic history. But will that be enough? Pressed the Kepler representative. Before Jin-A could answer, the chamber's communication system activated. Commander Hyun-Woo Nam's voice filled the hall, speaking from the Baekdu. Honored Council, our long-range sensors have detected the Devourer Vanguard. They have entered our galaxy at Sector 001, exactly as the precursor records predicted. The chamber fell silent. Even with months of preparation, the news that their ancient enemy had actually arrived sent chills through every representative. "How many ships?" Jin'ei asked. 37 scout vessels, Hyunwoo replied. Each one approximately 5 kilometers long. They are moving slowly, studying our galaxy's defenses. Admiral Taemin's voice joined the communication from Earth. All human fleets are moving to defensive positions. The awakened pilots are showing abilities we never imagined possible. Jin'ei nodded. "Show them what we've learned." The display changed to show scenes from across human space. On New Seoul, Chief Engineer Sang-ho Kim had awakened with the ability to understand any technology just by looking at it. He was working with alien engineers to combine human intuition with alien precision, creating weapons and defenses that were better than anything either species could build alone. On Europa Station, strategist Jun-ki-oh was developing battle plans that seemed to change and adapt on their own. His awakened mind could see patterns and possibilities that normal strategic thinking would miss. But the most impressive developments were happening with the human fleet itself. Pilot Hai Wan-yu led a squadron of 50 awakened pilots in exercises that defied all known laws of space combat. Their ships moved together like schools of fish, each pilot knowing instinctively what the others were thinking and planning. "They're not just flying ships anymore," reported Flight Commander Bo Kyung Lee from the training exercises. "They're becoming one with their craft. The ships respond to their intentions as if they were extensions of their own bodies." The alien representatives watched in amazement as human fighters performed maneuvers that should have been impossible. They flew in perfect formation without communication, executed complex battle plans without orders, and demonstrated reaction speeds that bordered on precognitive. "The final children are becoming what we always hoped they would," Ambassador Zarketh observed. "But faster than anyone expected." Dr. Ari Song's voice joined the communication from the Baekdu. "The genetic awakening is accelerating because of the approaching threat. Human DNA is responding to the danger by unlocking abilities at an unprecedented rate." "What kind of abilities?" asked the crystalline representative. "Yesterday, a maintenance worker named Dong Hyun Park on Mars Colony discovered he could communicate directly with the planet's defense grid," Dr. Ari explained. "Not through computers or interfaces. He could feel the electronic systems as if they were part of his own nervous system." A teacher named Mi-young Seo on Titan began dreaming about devourer weaknesses she had never studied, added Dr. Woo-jin Park from Luna Base. "When we checked her dreams against the precursor records, they were completely accurate." The reports continued to pour in. Humans throughout the galaxy were developing abilities that seemed almost magical, but which were actually the result of millions of years of genetic programming finally being activated. "The most remarkable development is the network effect," reported Captain Sora Kim. "Awakened humans are beginning to share knowledge and abilities instantaneously across vast distances." To demonstrate, Jin'ei closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, her expression had changed. "I just accessed the tactical knowledge of every awakened human in the galaxy," she said. "I know things about devourer combat patterns that were discovered by humans on the other side of the galaxy just minutes ago." The alien representatives stirred with excitement. This was beyond anything they had expected from the awakening process. "However," Jin'ei continued, her voice becoming serious, "we're running out of time. The devourer scouts are already beginning to probe our outer defenses. We estimate they'll start their main attack within 8 weeks. "What do you need from us?" asked the Grek's representative. "Everything," Admiral Taemin's voice replied. "Every ship, every weapon, every piece of knowledge you've been saving for this moment." Over the next several days, the greatest fleet in galactic history began to assemble. Human ships arrived from every colony and settlement, their crews showing abilities that amazed even experienced alien observers. The 12 precursor ships served as command centers, their centuries of preparation finally being put to use. But it wasn't just human ships that gathered. The Zephyrians contributed their fastest vessels, perfect for hit-and-run tactics. The crystal beings of Andros 7 brought mobile space platforms that could serve as mobile bases. The Grex Empire sent their most powerful dreadnoughts. Most importantly, the Shadow Walkers emerged from their hidden bases with technology that had been secret for millennia. Their ships could become completely invisible and move through space in ways that seemed to violate physics. The combined fleet now numbers over 10,000 ships, reported Fleet Admiral Changmin Yu from the command ship Seoul. But more importantly, we have something the precursors never had: unity between different ways of thinking. The awakened, humans served as bridges between different alien species, their enhanced intuition allowing them to translate not just languages, but entire ways of understanding the universe. For the first time, species that had been enemies for centuries were working together seamlessly. Captain Haiwan Yu led the first joint exercises between human and alien vessels. The results were extraordinary. Human intuition combined with alien precision created tactical possibilities that neither side could achieve alone. "The humans can see what we cannot," observed the Zephyrian fleet commander. "They find opportunities in chaos that we would never notice. And we provide the stability and organization they need to turn those opportunities into victory," replied the Grex admiral. But the most significant development was happening with individual awakened humans. As the threat grew closer, their abilities continued to evolve at an accelerating pace. Medic Ye Jin Bai discovered she could heal injuries just by understanding what the body needed to repair itself. Pilot Jinsu Park found he could navigate through hyperspace without instruments, feeling the currents of folded space like a sailor feeling the wind. Most remarkably, engineer Da-un Choi from the Baekdu began working with the alien engineers to modify human ships with technology that combined precursor knowledge with awakened human intuition. The resulting vessels were unlike anything that had ever existed. "The ships are alive," she reported. "Not in the biological sense, but they respond to their crew's thoughts and emotions. They adapt and learn from each battle." The space around the galactic barrier was filled with more ships than had ever gathered in one place before. Admiral Taemin stood on the bridge of the command ship Seoul, watching as fleets from 1,000 species took their positions for the final battle. The galactic barrier itself was a wonder that few beings had ever seen. It was a massive structure built by the precursors millions of years ago, stretching across the entire outer rim of the galaxy. For ages, it had appeared to be nothing more than a complex network of energy fields and ancient machinery. But now, as awakened humans approached it, the barrier began to respond. Lights that had been dark for millions of years started to glow. Ancient systems that had waited in silence began to hum with power. "Admiral," reported Captain So-Ra Kim from her position near the barrier's central control station, "the structure is recognizing our presence. It's like it was waiting for humans to return." Dr. Woo-Jin Park worked alongside alien scientists to understand what they were seeing. The barrier isn't just a defensive system, he realized. It's a consciousness interface. It was designed to be operated by minds that combine precursor logic with something the precursors themselves couldn't provide. "What's that?" Admiral Taemin asked. "Hope," replied Dr. Ari Song from her position aboard the Baekdu. The precursors were ancient and wise, but they had seen too much destruction. They built the barrier as a last resort, but they couldn't activate it themselves because they had lost the ability to believe in victory. The awakened humans were different. Despite facing an enemy that had consumed entire galaxies, they approached the battle with determination and optimism that amazed their alien allies. "The deep space sensors are detecting the main Devourer fleet," reported Lieutenant Bo-Ram Lee. "They're 3 days away and moving fast." The readings were terrifying. The Devourer fleet consisted of over 1,000 massive bioships, each one the size of a small moon. They moved through space like living creatures, constantly changing shape and adapting to whatever they encountered. Each ship contains the consumed knowledge and life force of entire civilizations, explained Commander Hyun-Woo Nam. "They are not just weapons. They are the concentrated hatred of every species the Devourers have destroyed." But the combined galactic fleet was ready. Human intuition had been combined with alien technology to create defenses that the Devourers had never encountered before. Ships that could think and adapt, weapons that learned from each shot, shields that grew stronger under attack. "All fleets report ready," announced Fleet Admiral Changmin Yu. The Zephyrian Wind Riders are positioned for first contact. The Grex Dreadnoughts are standing by for heavy combat. The crystal platforms are prepared to provide mobile support. Most importantly, the awakened humans were linked together in a network that spanned the entire galactic fleet. Captain Heywan-Yu could feel the thoughts and intentions of every human pilot in the battle zone. Engineer Da-Un Choi shared her technical knowledge with every human engineer across the galaxy. Dr. Ari Song's understanding of devourer biology was instantly available to every human medic and scientist. The network is stable, reported Dr. O from Luna Base. 12 billion awakened humans are now functioning as a single intelligence while maintaining their individual personalities. The first contact came sooner than expected. Devourer scout ships, smaller vessels only a few hundred meters long, appeared at the edge of the barrier's detection range. They moved with terrifying speed and grace, probing for weaknesses in the galactic defenses. Zephyrian Wind Riders engaged the scouts, ordered Admiral Taemin. The battle that followed was unlike anything in recorded history. The Zephyrian ships moved like living wind, impossible to target or predict. But the Devourer scouts adapted quickly, their biotechnology learning from each engagement. They're evolving their tactics in real time, reported the Zephyrian fleet commander. Each scout ship shares knowledge with all the others instantaneously. That's when the awakened humans showed their true value. Captain Heywan-Yu led her squadron into the battle, but instead of following predictable attack patterns, her ships moved with pure intuition. They found opportunities that didn't exist according to any tactical manual. The Devourers can adapt to logic and technology, she reported as her fighters wove between enemy ships like dancers. But they can't adapt to pure creativity and emotion. One by one, the Devourer scouts were destroyed, but their sacrifice had served its purpose. The main fleet now knew exactly what kind of defenses they would face. The main Devourer fleet is accelerating, reported the long-range sensors. They'll be here in 18 hours. The Galactic Fleet used every minute to prepare. Human engineers worked with alien technicians to make final modifications to their ships. The barrier itself continued to awaken, revealing capabilities that amazed even the precursor records. The barrier can do more than just defend, realized Dr. Wu Jin. It can actually transform energy on a galactic scale, but it needs a controlling intelligence that combines pure logic with unlimited imagination. The awakened human network, Admiral Taemin understood. We're not just operating the barrier, we're becoming part of it. When the Devourer fleet finally arrived, it was like watching death itself approach. The bioships were grotesque combinations of technology and living tissue. They pulsed with stolen life force and radiated hunger that could be felt across space. All ships engage at will, ordered Admiral Taemin. The battle began with a fury that shook space itself. The Grex dreadnoughts opened fire with weapons that could crack planets. The crystal platforms created defensive screens that protected smaller ships. The Shadow Walker vessels struck from impossible angles with cloaking technology that made them invisible to Devourer sensors. But the Devourers were everything the records had warned about. Their bioships absorbed damage and grew stronger. Their weapons adapted to every defense used against them. Worst of all, they began to consume the wreckage of destroyed ships, growing larger and more powerful with each victory. We're losing ships faster than we can replace them, reported Fleet Admiral Yu. The Devourers are too adaptable. That's when Captain So-Ra Kim made the crucial discovery. Working with the barrier's control systems, she realized what the precursors had really built. It's not a weapon, she announced to the entire fleet. The barrier is a consciousness transfer system. It can take the collective will and knowledge of every thinking being in the galaxy and focus it into pure creative force. What does that mean? Asked Admiral Taemin. Dr. Ari Song understood first. It means we don't fight the Devourers with technology. We fight them with the power of every mind in the galaxy working together. The process began with the awakened humans. 12 billion human minds linked together through their genetic programming, sharing thoughts and emotions across galactic distances. But they weren't alone. The alien races, guided by human intuition, began to join the network. Zephyrian wind thoughts merged with human creativity. crystal being logic combined with human emotion. Even the mysterious shadow walkers shared their deep understanding of reality's hidden aspects. The network is expanding beyond anything we imagined, reported Dr. O, his voice filled with wonder. It's not just humans and our allies. Every intelligent being in the galaxy is connecting. The effect on the battle was immediate and dramatic. Ships began to move with perfect coordination, not because of orders or communication, but because their crews shared a single vision of victory. Weapons fired with impossible accuracy because the shooters could feel their target's intentions. But the most remarkable change was in the barrier itself. As millions of minds focused their will, through its systems it began to transform the very nature of space around the battle zone. The barrier is rewriting the laws of physics, Captain Haiwan Yu reported from her fighter. Reality itself is becoming creative instead of destructive. The Devourers, for the first time in their existence, found themselves facing something they couldn't understand or adapt to. Their bioships designed to consume and destroy began to change. The hatred and hunger that drove them was being transformed into something else. They're not being destroyed, observed Commander Hyunwoo Nam from the Baekdu. They're being healed, it was true. As the galactic consciousness focused its will through the barrier, the Devourer ships began to transform. The stolen life force within them was being freed, returning to its original nature. The biotechnology that had been twisted into instruments of consumption was becoming something beautiful. The Devourers were once a normal species, Dr. Ari realized. They were corrupted by their hunger, turned into living weapons by their own success at consuming other galaxies. But underneath that corruption, they're still intelligent beings. The transformation spread from ship to ship across the Devourer fleet. Beings that had been twisted by eons of consuming others were remembering what they had originally been. The network of galactic consciousness was healing wounds that went back millions of years. But the process wasn't without cost. The awakened humans serving as the focus point for such massive psychic energy were being pushed to their limits.